Hello, dudes, dudettes, and all duderinos in betweeno. I have just finished streaming Faery Legends of Avalon, and here are my thoughts. Faery Legends of Avalon is the first game developed by the studio Spiders, the guys behind some of my favorite B-tier RPGs such as the Technomancer, Of Orcs and Men, and the more recent Greedfall. Unlike their other games, Faery is a child-friendly RPG with a turn-based JRPG-styled combat system. You play as a fairy of your own creation. Having been put in some sort of stasis surrounded by a crystal, you are recently awoken and introduced to King Oberon, who explains that the fairy kingdom lives off of magic, but due to humans no longer believing in them, magic is harder to come by, and the lands in his kingdom have stopped providing the required magic to keep the kingdom going. So it is up to you to gather a party of tiny companions and visit 3 lands, 4 counting the starting hub of course, and sort out their problems. Each area is like a tiny diorama blown up and filled with life. Starting on a fairly forgettable island, you quickly find yourself in Yggdrasil, the World Tree. An entire world in a single tree, with NPCs around its base and within its branches, as well as bees and termites to fight dotted around, and even beehive and termite burrow dungeons. There's a lot here. The second world is the Flying Dutchman, a ghost ship full of ghost pirates, mermaids in the ocean, and deserted island with a few quests. Finally, an Arabian Night-style city on top of the back of a moving beetle in a vast desert. The main character does have a fair bit of dialogue, but it's a stretch to say they have a personality. Their lines often feel inconsistent and sometimes trying too hard to be fantasy ye olde English. But not always. Other characters have a lot more personality. You will spend a lot of time in a single environment questing and asking questions to the same characters, and they do have a nice bit of personality, even if it's on the one-dimensional side. Your companions offer a bit of character, but usually only for a few scenes in the world you find them, and occasionally 1 or 2 uses where their skills are useful to progress the story. But with no companion-based side activities or quests, you don't really get to know them beyond their introduction, a few, and I do mean a few, story moments, and in combat. They do look distinct enough and bring their own flair to combat though. You move around by flying, which can be a bit disorienting at first, but the controls are intuitive enough, with maps built for flight and generally quite open. You'll soon find yourself zipping around like you own the place. Enemies can be seen in the world and engaged by approaching. There are no random encounters here. Once combat starts, it's turn-based with characters rolling for initiative to decide the order and then taking it in turns to battle each other. As you level up, you unlock more combat actions per round, so at first you can only attack once, but as you get more powerful you can queue up more attacks per turn. Weaker attacks take 1 combat action, but stronger ones can take 2 or even 3, balancing out their use. Also, there is no mana in this game, instead moves have a cooldown and can be used after so many rounds. This balances the most powerful moves fairly well along with the action system. There are multiple damage types, physical, fire, air, etc., and symbols appear by damage numbers to tell you how effective an attack is. Most attacks have a chance to cause some sort of status attack, be it damage over time, neutering their attack, etc. All companions bring their own skills to combat, adding a nice bit of variety. There are a lot of cool systems in place that have the potential to make the battles fairly dynamic and strategic. Unfortunately, there's very little reason to actually consider it all when battles are far too easy. At its absolute hardest, I've had 1 person downed in combat at most, and then revived with a heal spell the very next round. There are potions in the game, but honestly with the easy combat I forgot they existed and only ever used them in 1 or 2 battles. There's also equipment to don on your character, but it's a very strange system. Rather than having named equipment, you know, like leather armor, iron sword, etc., you basically just get an element and a slot. Earth weapons, wind helmet, water clothing. They give specific upgrades, usually directly tied to their element, and getting a full set doubles the effect. There's also a second tier of enhanced equipment, but it's the same. Enhanced fire weapons, enhanced earth helmet, etc. For what it's worth, they do render on your character and look pretty nice. When you level up, you have to pick a mutation, or evolution, whatever you want to call it. For example, you can grow horns that give you a new ability, pick from 3 different tails that increase 3 different stats, pick from different wings, etc. Your companions do not need experience, as they will always match your level, meaning there's no pressure to make sure all your characters are a decent level or stick with the few that you have leveled up. Generally, they just get more health and at certain levels also get new abilities. They share the same number of combat actions as the player. Quests are usually a mix of asking questions to NPCs, collecting stuff around the map, combat, and dungeons. The beautiful worlds and likable NPCs make questing fun for the most part, but if you're not interested in the world and characters, it's very formulaic, and having to search the map for items can be difficult. The items are highlighted with a sparkly particle effect, but there's no way to know you're looking in the right general area. The conversation system in this game really wants to be Mass Effect. You have the ring with side questions usually on the left, statements and questions that progress the conversation on the right, blue nice answers, red not so nice answers. Problem is, there's little to no nuance between the nice and mean comments. You just have a be normal or be an unnecessary jerk option, and there's no real consequence beyond that one character no longer liking you. As the game ends, there seems to be a big twist, with one of the characters sort of betraying you. I'm trying not to spoil too much here. But unfortunately, having not spent enough time with these characters and with okay but not great writing, it doesn't really land. Immediately after that, you have to choose to betray one of two people yourself, and again, it just doesn't feel as emotionally impactful as I think the developers hoped it was. One choice looking like it's about to result in a boss fight, but then the game just ends abruptly. Overall, I really enjoyed the game, but I think a large part of that was that I already love the formula refined by Spiders over their games, and it's great to see where and how it all started. There is definitely a lot of potential here with genuinely beautiful world design, even if the graphics are a bit primitive on a technical level. The combat has some cool mechanics and is fun for the most part, it's just too easy, which defeats the need of any strategy, or putting any real thoughts in your leveling, party makeup or equipment, or even using potions. The companions look cool and for what little they say are interesting, but they just aren't present enough in the story for them to feel like they matter. And the ending is very sudden, hinting at a choice that really matters, but showing the exact same ending cutscene regardless of what you decide. After finishing the game, it's become very obvious that they wanted this to be the first episode in a very long series of episodic games. It's short at 8 hours long, and there are far more mirrors in the hub world than there are worlds you actually visit, implying the next episode would have probably taken place in the same hub, and the game asks you to save right before playing the end cutscene, which I can only assume would be used by the next episode to actually play out the choice you make at the end, as well as character progress. But for whatever reason, probably low sales, that never happened. So the game will forever be a fun but short oddity with a dissatisfying ending. I'm glad Spiders managed to find enough success to carry on and make games like Of Orcs and Men and The Technomancer. And if they ever decide to revisit the series, I'd be very excited to see what they can do with their improved experience and technology and the genuine interesting and beautiful world they created in Faery Legends of Avalon. Thank you very much for watching this review right to the end. If you did enjoy it, please do the usual, comment, like, subscribe, etc., as that really helps the channel grow. Also, I do stream every one of these on Twitch TV/KrazyKain, so do consider stopping by to get a sneak peek of what I'm reviewing, or just catch me playing something for fun. Either way, I enjoy the company. And I will catch you in the next one.